On the 28th of May 2023, a COMAC C919 operated by China Eastern Airlines departed Shanghai Hongqiao Airport at 10:32 in the morning, bound for Beijing capital. The aircraft carried 128 passengers. It landed without incident 2 hours and 18 minutes later. Chinese state television broadcast the arrival live. The president of COMAC described it as proof that China had joined the first tier of global aviation manufacturing. The aviation press in Europe and the United States ran stories about a new competitor in the narrow-body market that Boeing and Airbus had shared between them for 30 years. None of those framings were quite accurate. The C919 that departed Shanghai that morning was powered by CFM International LEAP-1 C engines. CFM International is a joint venture owned equally by GE Aerospace of the United States and Safran Aircraft Engines of France. The engines could not have been shipped to China without a U.S. government export license. The flight management system in the cockpit was built by Honeywell of Phoenix, Arizona. The landing gear was supplied by Liebherr of Germany. The hydraulic systems were built by Parker Hannifin of Cleveland, Ohio. The braking system was supplied by a subsidiary of Safran. The environmental control system, the pressurization and air conditioning that kept the 128 passengers at a survivable altitude, was supplied by a subsidiary of RTX Corporation, formerly Raytheon, of the United States. Approximately 60% of the C919's total value content came from foreign suppliers, the majority of them American or European. It was, by any technical definition, a Chinese-assembled aircraft. Whether it was a Chinese aircraft is a more complicated question, and the answer to that question determines what the C919 story is actually about. China's civilian aviation ambition did not begin with the C919. It began with the failure of the programs that preceded it and with a precise calculation about what that failure meant. In the 1970s, China had developed the Shanghai Y-10, a four-engined jet broadly comparable in size to the Boeing 707. The Y-10 flew twice, in 1980 and 1981, and was canceled before entering production. The official reason was cost. The real reason was also cost, but the cost of a different kind of decision. Chinese aviation planners in the early 1980s concluded that licensing foreign technology and buying foreign aircraft was faster and cheaper than developing domestically, and for the following 2 decades, that is what China did. Airbus and Boeing competed vigorously for the Chinese market through the 1990s and into the 2000s, and between them they supplied the aircraft that built China's airline network from a regional operation into one of the largest aviation markets in the world. By 2006, the strategic cost of that decision had become apparent to the Chinese government. China was the largest or second largest aviation market in the world depending on the year, and virtually every aircraft flying in it had been built in Seattle, Toulouse, or Wichita. The foreign exchange outflow was substantial, the technological dependency was absolute, and the assumption embedded in the previous 2 decades of planning that foreign technology would always be available for purchase was beginning to look questionable. The C919 program was formally incorporated into China's 11th five-year plan in 2006. COMAC, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, was established by the State Council in May 2008 and was given responsibility for the program. The target was a 150 to 168-seat narrow-body capable of competing with the Boeing 737NG and the Airbus A320ceo on Chinese domestic routes. Development cost estimates from the Chinese government at program launch were in the range of 60 billion renminbi, approximately $9 billion at 2008 exchange rates. The actual total investment in the C919 program, including COMAC's infrastructure build-out, the parallel engine development program, supplier development subsidies, and state bank financing across more than 15 years, is now estimated at somewhere between $50 billion and $72 billion. The wide range reflects the opacity of Chinese state investment accounting rather than any genuine uncertainty about the scale. For comparison, Boeing's development of the 787 Dreamliner, the most expensive single commercial aircraft program in American industry history, cost approximately $32 billion, most of which was privately financed. The C919 has likely cost more than twice that, entirely on public account. By the way, if you're into stories like this, subscribing takes 2 seconds and there's a lot more coming. The aircraft that COMAC chose to build with that investment was, from the outset, not a clean-sheet Chinese design, in the sense that the 787 or the A320 was a clean-sheet Western design. The strategic decision made at program launch was to use foreign subsystems extensively for the first variant of the aircraft while developing domestic alternatives in parallel. The reasoning was sound. Building a competitive airframe and integrating proven foreign systems was achievable in a decade. Building a competitive airframe, a competitive engine, competitive avionics, and competitive systems simultaneously was not achievable in the same time frame, and the Chinese government needed a demonstrable product, not an indefinitely deferred program. The system that mattered most, and that was procured from overseas in the most consequential act of dependency in the program, was the engine. CFM International had been offering the LEAP family as the successor to its CFM56, the engine that had powered the Boeing 737 Classic and 737NG and the Airbus A320ceo for 3 decades. The LEAP entered service in 2016, simultaneously on the 737 MAX, the A320neo, and a Chinese-specific variant, the LEAP 1C, developed explicitly for the C919. The arrangement was, in 2013 when the contracts were signed, straightforward commercial procurement. CFM wanted a Chinese customer for the LEAP. COMAC needed a certified mature engine for its aircraft. The U.S. government approved the export license. The C919 first flew on the 5th of May 2017 from Shanghai Pudong International Airport. The test pilot, Kai Jun, took the aircraft through a 79-minute flight that confirmed the basic airworthiness of the configuration. The development and certification process that followed took 5 more years. The Civil Aviation Administration of China issued the type certificate on the 29th of September 2022. The certification was real. The CAAC is a legitimate regulator with internationally recognized standards. The C919 met those standards. What the CAAC type certificate did not provide and cannot provide is access to the international market. Every aircraft that operates commercially in the United States must hold an FAA type certificate or be validated by the FAA under a bilateral agreement with its country of origin's regulator. Every aircraft that operates commercially in the European Union must hold an EASA type certificate or be similarly validated. These requirements exist for safety reasons, and they are not waived for political or commercial reasons, as the 737 MAX grounding demonstrated with unmistakable clarity. COMAC began the EASA validation process. It has not been completed. EASA has raised concerns about the independence of the CAAC from the Chinese government. Specifically, whether a Chinese state regulator can be sufficiently independent from a Chinese state manufacturer to provide the kind of arm's-length oversight that bilateral validation requires. These concerns have not been resolved. The FAA validation process has not been substantively advanced. The practical result is that the C919 cannot legally be operated by Air France, Lufthansa, British Airways, United Airlines, American, Delta, Ryanair, EasyJet, or any other carrier subject to FAA or EASA jurisdiction. That exclusion covers approximately 70% of global commercial aviation revenue. The C919 is, for the foreseeable future, an aircraft that can fly within China and to a limited number of countries whose regulators accept CAAC certification. A list that does not include any major Western aviation market. The order book tells the story with precision. COMAC has announced commitments for approximately 1,061 C919s. The ordering entities are, with negligible exceptions, Chinese state-owned airlines, Chinese state-controlled leasing companies, and Chinese aviation entities operating under government direction. There is not a single firm order from a Western carrier, a Middle Eastern carrier, or any airline whose purchasing decision is made on commercial rather than policy grounds. The geopolitical vulnerability underneath this situation is not abstract, and it is not speculative. It has a recent analog that is exactly instructive. The Irkut MC-21 is a Russian narrow-body aircraft developed by United Aircraft Corporation and designed to compete with the 737 MAX and the A320neo on the same market segment the C919 targets. When the MC-21 entered development, it used Pratt & Whitney PW1400G geared turbofan engines, American engines sourced from the same American manufacturer whose PW1100G powers the Airbus A320neo. The MC-21 was tested on those engines successfully. It was progressing toward certification. In 2022, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Western sanctions effectively ended Pratt & Whitney's ability to supply engines to Russia under any terms. The MC-21 program had to switch to the Aviadvigatel PD-14, a Russian-developed engine that was not ready for service and required additional certification work. The resulting delay has been measured in years, not months. As of 2024, the MC-21 has not entered commercial service in any meaningful numbers. The C919 program is not in the same position as the MC-21 was. The political conditions are different. The US-China relationship is not at the level of the Russia-Ukraine sanctions regime, and the export licenses for the LEAP-1C are currently valid. But the structural parallel is precise. An aircraft whose commercial operation depends on engines built by a foreign power that has the legal authority and the political incentive to restrict that supply. The U.S. Bureau of Industry and Security has explicit authority over the export of U.S. origin technology, including technology incorporated in joint venture products such as the LEAP. GE's 50% stake in CFM means that U.S. export control law applies to every LEAP-1C engine shipped to China. There have been proposals in the United States Congress to restrict GE's ability to supply LEAP engines to COMAC. None has yet become law. The current administration has maintained the export licenses, but the legal mechanism for restriction exists. It has been debated publicly, and every COMAC delivery schedule, every Chinese airline C919 order, and every COMAC business plan depends on the continued exercise of that legal restraint. China knows this. AECC, the Aero Engine Corporation of China, is developing the CJ1000A, a domestically produced turbofan in the same thrust class as the LEAP-1C, intended as the eventual replacement engine for the C919. The CJ1000A is in testing. It is not type certified. It has not powered a commercial flight. The gap between in testing and certified and in production at scale in engine development is typically measured in years and frequently in the high single digits. COMAC has been careful not to publish specific timelines for CJ1000A certification, which is itself informative. Until the CJ1000A or an equivalent is certified, in production, and proven in service, the C919 is an aircraft whose production could be halted by a regulatory decision in Washington. That is not a characterization offered by critics of the program. It is a structural fact of the supply chain, none of which resolves the question of what the C919 actually means for the future of the narrow-body market. China's domestic aviation market will require, by Boeing's own projections, approximately 8,500 new aircraft over the 20 years from 2023 to 2042. Even at a production rate that COMAC has not yet approached, 60 aircraft per year is a target the program has discussed. Its actual 2023 deliveries were in single figures. The C919 would represent a meaningful share of Chinese domestic procurement. Chinese state-owned carriers have been told, through the mechanisms available to a government that controls both the regulator and the airlines, that their fleet plans should accommodate the C919. Air China, China Eastern, and China Southern collectively have orders for hundreds of C919s. Those orders are not going to be canceled. The aircraft also works. Passengers are flying on it daily within China. The reported reliability data is not publicly available with the specificity that Western manufacturers publish, but the aircraft is operating commercial schedules without the kind of safety incidents that would force a grounding. The LEAP-1C, which COMAC did not design and cannot build, is a mature and reliable engine. The avionics, which COMAC did not design and cannot build, are mature and reliable systems. The airframe, the fuselage, the wings, the structure, the thing that COMAC did design and build, is flying. The systems integration, which is a genuine engineering capability that COMAC has demonstrably developed, is working. The description of the C919 as a failure misreads what the program was. It was never intended to produce, in its first variant, a wholly independent Chinese aircraft. It was intended to produce a flying, certified, commercially operating aircraft. One that built the institutional knowledge, the supply chain relationships, the production infrastructure, and the regulatory experience that a genuinely independent program requires. By that measure, it has succeeded. The description of the C919 as proof of Chinese aerospace independence misreads it in the other direction. An aircraft that cannot be exported, that flies on foreign engines, that uses foreign avionics, and that could be halted by a foreign government's export control decision is not an independent program. It is the beginning of a path toward one. In the lobby of COMAC's headquarters in Shanghai, there is a scale model of the C919 displayed alongside the text of the program's founding charter. The charter describes the C919 as a step toward China's ambition of building a world-class civil aviation manufacturing capability, not as the destination, but as the step. The people who built it understood precisely what they had built. They built a certificated aircraft on borrowed technology, knowing that the borrowed technology would have to be replaced. They built a production line, knowing it would have to be expanded. They built a regulatory relationship with CAAC, knowing it would have to eventually extend to FAA and EASA. Every element of the program was designed as a foundation, not a finished product. Whether the CJ1000A is certified in 2030 or 2035 or later, whether EASA eventually validates the CAAC, whether the US-China relationship deteriorates to the point of leap export restriction, those outcomes will determine whether the foundation the C919 represents leads anywhere. The aircraft currently in service is not the story. The aircraft that will or will not be flying in 2040 on Chinese engines with international certification in the fleets of airlines outside China is the story. And that aircraft does not yet exist. The C919 is not failing. It is not succeeding in the way its advocates claim. It is proving that the first step is possible and waiting to find out whether the steps that follow are permitted. If this story was worth your time, hit like and subscribe and drop what you think in the comments.